Betrayal rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock loudly on the door of a relationship and declare its arrival. It slips in quietly. In a compliment that lingers too long. In a glance that feels different. In a moment where someone doesn't walk away fast enough. And sometimes, that moment is enough to fracture years of trust. Noah had loved Ava for 3.5 years. Not loudly. Not recklessly. But steadily. The kind of steady love people underestimate because it doesn't look dramatic from the outside. There were no explosive fights. No toxic cycles. No breakups followed by passionate reunions. There was consistency. Routine. Peace. And peace in this generation felt rare. Noah was the kind of man who paid attention. He noticed when Ava changed her perfume. He remembered the date of her job interview without setting a reminder. He knew when her silence meant she was overwhelmed and when it meant she just needed space. He didn't hover. He didn't control. He trusted. That was the foundation. Trust. It wasn't something they constantly talked about. It was just there. Like air. Invisible but essential. Ava loved that about him. After past relationships filled with jealousy and accusations, Noah felt safe. He didn't question her friendships. He didn't monitor her phone. He didn't need proof of loyalty because he believed in it. They had built something stable. And stability, though not flashy, is powerful. On quiet evenings, they would sit on the balcony of Noah's apartment, legs tangled together, talking about things that felt far away. Marriage, travel, maybe children someday. They never made grand promises. But there was an understanding. They were building toward something permanent. Or so Noah believed. Ryan had entered Ava's life long before he became relevant. He worked at the same company. Slightly above her position. Not directly her boss, but close enough to have influence. The first year was uneventful. Work conversations. Professional boundaries. Group sports sessions on weekends. Ryan was charismatic, but not in an obvious way. He wasn't loud. He didn't chase attention. He observed people carefully and spoke in a way that made them feel seen. Ava admired his confidence. Nothing more. At least, that's what she told herself. Over time, their conversations became slightly more personal. How's your day going? You looked stressed earlier. Make sure you don't overwork yourself. It wasn't flirtatious. It was attentive. And attention is subtle fuel. Noah had seen their messages once while Ava showed him something unrelated. There was nothing inappropriate. He didn't think twice about it. Why would he? Trust had never failed him before. The invitation came casually. One of the women from their sports group was celebrating her birthday. It wasn't a huge event. Just drinks, music, and a small gathering at her house. Ava almost declined. She was tired that week. Work had been demanding. She wanted a quiet night. But Ryan had said earlier, "You're coming, right?" The way he said it lingered in her mind longer than it should have. Not forceful. Not desperate. Just intentional. She told Noah she might go. He smiled easily. "Go have fun. You deserve it. Just text me when you're heading back." That was it. No interrogation. No hesitation. Just trust. She kissed him before leaving that night. A soft, routine kiss. The kind couples share without thinking. Neither of them knew it would feel different later. The party started normally. Music filled the house. Laughter bounced off the walls. People moved between rooms with drinks in their hands. Ava relaxed slowly. She laughed. She talked. She allowed herself to forget the stress of the week. Ryan watched her. Not in a predatory way, but in a focused way. When their eyes met across the room, there was a pause. Brief, but noticeable. At least to him. Maybe to her too. After some time, he approached. "Can we talk for a second?" His tone was calm. They stepped into the kitchen. It was quieter there. The noise from the living room felt distant. He stood closer than usual. Not inappropriate, but closer. "I've wanted to tell you something for a while," he said. Ava felt her stomach tighten unexpectedly. She wasn't naive. She knew what this might be. But she didn't step away. "You're different," he continued. "You carry yourself differently. You're disciplined. You don't try too hard." It wasn't sexual. It was personal. That made it more dangerous. He reached for her hand. She let him. That was the first mistake. He lifted it gently and kissed the back of it. Once. Her mind froze. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't rushed. It was deliberate. He kissed it again. "I have a boyfriend," she said quickly, her voice slightly unsteady. "I know," he replied. That should have been the end. It wasn't. He didn't release her hand immediately. He didn't step back. He leaned closer instead. The air felt heavier. "I know you can't," he added quietly. She could have walked away then. She should have. But ego is complicated. Being desired feels validating, even when it's wrong, even when it's dangerous. He leaned in slowly. "I can't," she repeated. "I know," he whispered. And then their lips touched. Not passionately. Not desperately. Just long enough to cross a line that could not be uncrossed. A few seconds. That's all it was. But seconds are powerful. When it ended, reality rushed back violently. Her chest tightened. This wasn't romance. It wasn't love. It was weakness. She stepped back. "What am I doing?" she murmured, more to herself than to him. Ryan didn't chase her. He didn't apologize. He just watched her, knowing the damage had already been done. Ava left later than she should have. She sat in her car for several minutes before starting the engine. Her reflection in the rearview mirror looked unfamiliar. Guilt arrives quickly. But understanding takes longer. When she got home, it was nearly 5 a.m. Noah was asleep. Peaceful. Unaware. She stood at the edge of the bed and watched him for a moment. Her chest felt tight. She changed quietly and lay down beside him. He shifted in his sleep and instinctively wrapped an arm around her. That almost broke her. She stared at the ceiling until morning. Noah woke up with a strange feeling. Nothing dramatic. Just off. A subtle shift in energy. Ava was beside him. Sleeping. But something felt distant. He couldn't explain it. He brushed it off. Trust makes you dismiss discomfort. He kissed her forehead before getting up. She forced herself to act normal. That was mistake number 2. Because pretending requires energy. And guilt changes behavior in ways even the guilty don't notice. For 7 days, she carried it alone. 7 days of replaying those few seconds. 7 days of questioning herself. Why didn't I move away faster? Why didn't I leave immediately? Why did I let it happen at all? She wasn't emotionally attached to Ryan. That almost made it worse. There was no justification. No love triangle. Just a lapse in boundaries. She cried in the shower. In her car. In the bathroom at work. Ryan acted normal. Professional. As if nothing had happened. That unsettled her even more. Meanwhile, Noah sensed something but couldn't pinpoint it. She was slightly quieter. Slightly more distant. He asked once, "Are you okay?" She nodded. "I'm just tired." He believed her. Because he had no reason not to. But guilt doesn't disappear. It grows heavier. And eventually it demands release. On Sunday evening, she sat across from Noah on the couch. Her hands were shaking. "I need to tell you something." The words sat between them like a loaded weapon. Noah felt it immediately. Not the details. Not the betrayal. But the wait. There is a certain tone people use when they are about to change your life. Ava's voice carried it. His stomach tightened. What is it? He asked quietly. She couldn't look at him at first. Her hands were trembling. She pressed them together to stop the shaking, but it didn't work. It's about the party. His chest went cold. Not because he knew what she would say, but because he suddenly understood that whatever it was bigger than staying out late. She told him everything. The kitchen. The conversation. The compliments. The hand kiss. The first time she said she had a boyfriend. The second time she said she couldn't. And then, the kiss. She didn't dramatize it. She didn't minimize it either. She told it plainly. Which somehow made it worse. Noah didn't interrupt. He didn't shout. He didn't throw accusations. He just stared at her as if trying to recognize the person sitting in front of him. When she finished, silence swallowed the room. Finally, he asked the only question that mattered. Why? And that question shattered her. Because she didn't have a clean answer. There was no hidden romance. No secret longing. No months of emotional cheating. It wasn't planned, she whispered. I don't know. I froze. I should have walked away. I didn't. I hate myself for it. I don't know, echoed in his mind. If she didn't know why she crossed the line, how could he ever feel secure again? He stood up slowly. Not angrily. Just overwhelmed. 3.5 years. Reduced to a few seconds in a kitchen. His mind began replaying images he never asked for. Ryan leaning in. Her not moving fast enough. Her lips touching someone else's. It didn't matter that it was brief. It happened. And that was enough. That night, Noah lay awake staring at the ceiling. Ava cried quietly beside him, but he felt miles away. His pride screamed at him to leave. A real man doesn't tolerate that. That's what his ego whispered. But love is never that simple. He thought about the nights she stayed up helping him prepare for interviews. The time she drove across town just because he was having a bad day. The way she celebrated his small wins like they were victories. Was she a liar? Or did she make a terrible mistake? He felt humiliated. He imagined telling his friends. He imagined them saying, "You're staying after that?" The thought burned. But so did the idea of losing her. The next morning felt unnatural. Everything was quiet. Even the air felt different. Noah avoided looking at her for too long. Not because he hated her, but because his mind would start again. Replaying. Imagining. Questioning. She watched him carefully. Not defensive. Not argumentative. Just broken. That mattered more than she realized. If she had justified it, if she had blamed him, if she had minimized it, he might have walked away immediately. But she didn't. She took full responsibility. I was wrong, she said again. There's no excuse. She blocked Ryan in front of him, deleted his number, removed herself from the sports group. At work, she told Ryan their communication would remain strictly professional and nothing more. Ryan didn't argue. He didn't apologize either. That angered Noah more than anything. The casualness. As if it was just a moment. As if it meant nothing. But to Noah, it meant everything. Days passed. Not peacefully, but carefully. Trust, once cracked, doesn't shatter loudly. It fractures quietly. Noah found himself questioning small things. If she laughed at her phone, his chest tightened. If she was quiet, his mind wandered. He hated that feeling. He had never been that man before. He had always been secure. Now doubt whispered at random moments. Ava noticed. And instead of getting defensive, she leaned in. She offered transparency without being asked. She reassured him without irritation. She chose patience over pride. Not because she wanted to erase what happened, but because she wanted to rebuild what she damaged. One evening, about 2 weeks after the confession, Noah finally spoke the fear he had been carrying. What if it happens again? Her eyes filled immediately. It won't, she said. But you said you didn't know why it happened. The truth of that sentence hung heavily. She took a breath. I think I do know, she said slowly. I liked the attention. I didn't expect it. I didn't stop it fast enough. And I hate that about myself. But I've learned from it. He studied her face. This wasn't manipulation. It wasn't performance. It was accountability. I don't want validation from anyone else, she continued. I want us. I almost lost that because I wasn't strong for a few seconds. The honesty hurt. But it also healed something small. Forgiveness didn't arrive in one dramatic moment. It came slowly. In conversations. In tears. In uncomfortable honesty. Noah realized something important. If he left, it wouldn't be because he stopped loving her. It would be because his pride was louder than his heart. And pride is powerful. But so is growth. He asked himself a difficult question. Was this betrayal a reflection of her character? Or a moment of weakness in an otherwise consistent pattern of loyalty? He looked at the evidence. 3.5 years of faithfulness. One lapse. It didn't erase the pain. But it gave it context. One night, sitting on the same balcony where they used to talk about the future, Noah finally said it. I'm choosing to forgive you. Ava broke down instantly. Not from relief, but from the weight of understanding what that meant. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is choosing to move forward while remembering. It is deciding that a mistake will not define the entire story. I don't deserve it, she whispered. Maybe not, he said honestly. But I believe you won't waste it. Things were not magically perfect afterward. Sometimes Noah still had flashes of that night in his mind. Sometimes doubt crept in quietly. But something else grew too. Depth. Their conversations became more honest than ever before. They talked about boundaries. About ego. About validation. About how easily attention can distort judgment. They became more aware. More intentional. More protective of what they had. Ava became louder in her loyalty. Not performative. Just intentional. She checked in more. Communicated more. Created clearer boundaries with men around her. Not because Noah demanded it, but because she understood how fragile trust is. Months later, the memory still existed. But it no longer controlled the room. It became a scar instead of an open wound. And scars tell stories. Not of perfection, but of survival. Noah realized something profound. Betrayal doesn't always end love. Sometimes it exposes the weakest part of it. And if both people are willing to confront that weakness, it can rebuild stronger. But only if pride doesn't win. A kiss lasted seconds. But the consequences lasted months. And the lesson? Love is not tested when everything feels good. It is tested when someone fails you. The real question isn't whether betrayal hurts. It always does. The real question is this. If the person you love makes one terrible mistake, do you walk away? Or do you rebuild something deeper than before? Noah chose to rebuild. And every day after that, both of them understood something they hadn't before. Trust is not just given. It is protected. Every single day.